Alright, so let's get started. Secret World. This is an MMO that's being developed by Funcom. These are the guys who put Age of Command together. This is their latest game, coming out in early July. It's a bit of an unusual one, this one. It's very much about stories, about myths and legends coming to life. It's set in the modern day, which is why we have cars and shotguns and pinstripe suits and all that kind of jazz. But it's also a world where magic exists as well, and where you can throw elemental magic, blood magic, and all those kind of bits and pieces at people. In the Secret World, you play one of a rare form of people. You belong to a secret society, and there are three. You can join the Templars, the Illuminati, or the Dragon. And you carry out various tasks and missions for them. And this one, for example, we've been sent to the lovely peaceful island of Kingsmouth. And we're there to try and find out what's going on. We've heard reports of zombies and stuff like that, and bad stuff happening, so we've been sent to go in and try and find out what's happening. This is one of 3 zones in an area called Solomon Island. So you eventually end up exploring the entire island, but to start off with, we're sent here to the town of Kingsmouth to find out what's going on. Now, the first person we speak to is a guy called Jack Boone, who's just up here. So let's do that thing. This is how you pick up some quests in Secret World. So it's just a case of clicking there and click accept.
This forest crawls. Gets my fingers itching for 2 matters. One, the other, figuring out a way to keep them down. It ain't right the way the dead walk the earth. They deserve their 6 feet, same as everyone else. I've sworn to keeping guard here, and you've got places to be, but nothing's stopping you from culling the herd as you go. Hell, figure out what makes them tick and how to make that ticking stop, and I'll buy you a beer at the apocalypse. So go on, kid, saddle up. The end of the world waits for no man.
So there you go. Secret World obviously really earning that M for mature rating, but we need a bit of zombies in our life, you know? So, in terms of abilities, when you start out, you get to choose between 9 different abilities that you can have, and they're closely tied to the weapons that you want to go for. So you could have, say, chaos magic or elemental magic, but you could also have shotguns, assault rifles or pistols, or if you prefer getting into melee, you can go for things like blades or hammers or fist weapons and stuff like that. From there you basically pick up abilities. You collect anima points and skill points as you kill things and complete quests, which you can spend on buying new abilities. You start off with just a couple of abilities, and as you progress through, you flesh them out. Let's have a quick example. This one I'm using Elementalist. And as you can see, Elementalist, chucking flames at people, stuff like that, no problem at all with taking things down. Lovely sunny day in Kingsmouth. Love the music in this game as well. It's really deep and atmospheric. Apparently this island's set in a place in New England. I've never been to New England, I've got no idea what it's like, but I'm told it's reasonably accurate in terms of what it looks like and how it's been represented. And yeah, we will go down to the seaside in a bit. You can probably hear the seagulls in the distance. So More zombies! Kill these zombies! Ah! So yeah, something in Kingsmouth has gone pretty badly wrong. We have zombies everywhere. The village is not looking too healthy. Ah, zombie. I will drop hammer on your head. Bosh! I love that ability. That's called Thor's Hammer. It's one of the Elementalist deck abilities, or Elementalist spell abilities. And it just drops this huge hammer out of nowhere, does a shed load of damage. It's also brilliant for PvP when you just want to have that bit of burst damage. The way that a lot of skills and abilities work is that you have what are called builders and then consumers. So if I show you on a zombie, I've run out of zombies. I'm in a zombie infested town and I am short a zombie. Here we go. If I shoot at the zombie with my elemental spells, you can see I'm building up at the bottom here elemental resource. And as I build that up, I can then use that resource with abilities like Flame Strike, which consumes 2 elemental resources. That does a little bit more damage. So there we go. Takes a bit longer to cast, does a bit more damage. And a lot of abilities work in that particular way. It doesn't matter if you're using spells, shotgun resources, stuff like that. If you're using fist weapons, again, you'll have some things which do building and then some things which do consuming. So it's a case of managing your resource points effectively. Yes, lovely beach town. Now, if you've ever read H.P. Lovecraft, you'll probably be fairly familiar with who these guys are. These have waded in from the sea. Not quite sure what they're doing here. But they're pretty unpleasant. And the sea is literally full of these guys. It's like, where have all you fishmen come from? There's an ugly looking specimen there. He's got a huge lump on his arm. Gosh. Now, that white stuff that appeared on the ground, that kind of white circle, that's marking an AoE effect. What happens? Let's see if I can pull another one. There's a loot, by the way. And you drink and a bit of currency. What happens is they kind of mark a circle on the ground, in a large circle. Then you have a smaller circle that moves from where the center of the AoE effect is, out to the edge. And that gives you the rough amount of time you've got to get out of the way and save yourself from the AoE. You also get the same thing happening with kind of charge effects, where they do a kind of oblong thing, and also with cone effects as well. Hammer on your head. Gosh. The other great thing that you'll be pleased with is that you have dodging, so you can do double tap and you will dodge and roll. And you then get this little meter which fills up and tells you when you can do it again, so you can't just spam dodging all the time because then no one will be able to hit you. But if you need to get out of an AoE effect PDQ, then you can just go tap tap and you're done. So I've kind of just walked around here, but let me show you quickly what abilities actually mean. So, like I said, you have ability points. Now, this is the ability wheel, and I've completely populated this, so I've got every single ability known to man. When you start off, you'll probably start off with picking something from this inner wheel here. It's broken up into 3 sections: ranged, melee, and magic, and each one of those is then broken down into elementalism, chaos, blood magic, fists, hammers, blades, assault rifles, pistols, and shotguns. So far so good. You can then decide you want to specialise in, say, spark, which is things like electrical magic, reaction magic, and then you've got, once you've filled both of those up, you can then unlock these deeper elementalism skills as well. Each block has I think it's 7 or 8 skills in it. 7 skills in it. A mixture of both passive and active skills. So you have a selection of active skills which you can equip, and a selection of passive skills which you can also equip. When you have a set of skills that you like and they tend to work well together, you can then go for saving it as a deck, which basically means I like this skill set, I'm going to save it and reuse it whenever I want to. The important thing is that there's going to be no one build that is kick-ass for everything that you want to do. You might have a build that's fantastic for a particular situation, but then when you try and use it for something else, it's no good at all. So you might have one build that's great for direct damage, but it's not so hot on AoE, and vice versa. To help you out, Funcom have put in a load of default decks to get you started. Things like Magus, which is mainly a direct damage build, with a blend of both single target damage and AoE. You've got other builds in here from things like Executioner, which is fist and chaos magic thing. You've got one down here which is the Exorcist healing deck, yes. So you've got a healer option there. Now you can see down the bottom here, it then tells you, okay, which weapons does it use. This one uses blood magic and fist weapons, and it uses these passive abilities and these active abilities. So it kind of guides you with what ones you want to go for, and you get these abilities recommended as part of that deck. So it'll tell you, okay, if you want to play an Exorcist, you want to be picking up Angelic Aegis and Angel's Touch from blood magic, from the sacred part of blood magic, and then these ones as well. Okay. Of course, you don't have to follow these decks. You can just do whatever you like. In fact, you might want to build your own, and that's no problem at all. You can decide from the ability search, okay, I want to build my own deck, and I want to build it around hindering people. I want to build it around slowing people down, that kind of stuff. So you say, okay, I want to search for everything that puts something in a hindered state. And you've got the various categories there. You can say, okay, I want to focus on hindered with assault rifles. So you can say, okay, fantastic. And then I want to say, okay, I'll augment that with, I don't know, elemental magic or something. I've got plenty of space to do that. So you can then say, okay, I'll have those ones from assault rifles and these ones from elemental focus, and that one looks like a pretty good mix. There's also pistols and shotgun again, pretty good mix for creating a hindered deck. As well as having your abilities. Now, you'll only start off with a few abilities and you'll be able to spread out as you progress in the game. You also get skill points as well. Now, skill points govern what kind of weapons you can use and what kind of talismans you can use. I'll show you what talismans do in a second. You have pistols, shotgun, assault rifle, and so on and so forth. Say you want to be able to use a shotgun to do damage. The more skill blocks you buy, the further up the skill rank you go. So you start off with shotgun skill 1 and you go all the way up to shotgun skill 10. And those cost you skill points to buy. They also govern what kind of quality shotgun you can use. So a basic bog standard shotgun will be quality level 1, and a super duper shotgun of arse kicking will be quality level 10. Alright. So, just kill this guy because he's annoying me. By the way, you can ask questions. If you have any questions about what I'm talking about, then just chuck them into the chat and I will do my best to answer them for you. I'll also be recording this and sticking it on YouTube sometime. So yes, I was going to talk about talismans. So, you have your character. And he has all these kind of bits. So yeah, Edward Sheds Smith. Yeah, I'm not the most imaginative person, I know this. And Edward Smith has a collection of different bits and pieces of equipment. It's a head talisman, which goes on his head. He has major talismans, minor talismans, and weapons. So the head talisman is Devastating Ashes. It does... it gives him a health bonus, it gives him attack rating bonus, it does hit, and it does crit as well. I also have some bits and pieces here, so Devastating Bracelet, Savage Pendant, Focused Ring, Ravaging Dice, Ruthless Chain, Fierce Effigy, and some weapons as well. So I've got my Elementalism Focus and my shotgun. Most items that you pick up in terms of talismans, weapons and stuff like that come as bare basic. So you might have a thing which says dice, and that would have a certain quality level. So for example, this one says quality level 10, and it would have health and attack rating, and that's it. That's all you get. If you want to add anything more to it, like hit rating and penetration rating, you add a glyph to it. You can make your own glyphs, or you can pick them up, or you can buy them, or whatever. And that changes it from just being a regular set of dice to a ravaging dice. You can also add a signet to it as well to give it a suffix. So, for example, your shotgun, if you can see this one's just a plain bog standard shotgun. If you add a glyph to it, you might create a ravaging shotgun. I thought of a ravaging shotgun as a bit scary, but there we go. You can also add a signet to it, so it might do things like chuck lightning at people. So you might have a ravaging shotgun of storms, for example. So you can really customize the kind of weapon and gear that you get and really tailor it to your needs. Most weapons at the starting end of things don't tend to have glyph or signet slots. In the middle you will get glyph slots, and right at the end you get a weapons thrown at you with glyph and signet slots. You can also make your own weapons as well, which kind of sounds like an interesting idea. Let me show you what I mean. So here I have a collection of different weapons. I also have some weapon toolkits, so là and là, and I have some glyph toolkits, and I have a talisman toolkit as well. What this basically means is that if I bring up get rid of the character window and bring up my assembly window, the first thing is I have all these different bits and pieces here that I can turn into there we go. I can turn this into, say, a shotgun. I go ba 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 ba, and need a toolkit and Zella shotgun. Fantastic, eh? And that's it. You can reform these into any shape you like. So for example, if I want to make an elementalism focus, I just draw a stick man, and there you go, elementalism focus. It's that simple. Someone wants to cause hassle. And there was me thinking I was safe. Ha ha ha. Simple, simple fish boy. So, there we go. So that's how you create items in terms of weapons you want to pick up. You can also disassemble stuff as well. So if you just drag a weapon into the disassemble slot, like this baseball bat, you can see it would form a hammer shape, and you just click disassemble and you get these resources. So if you get an item that's pretty useless to you and you want to turn it into something that's a bit more useful, you can just disassemble it, and hey presto, you've got a load of materials which you can then use to create something else. Nice and easy. So what else is there? So that's how you kind of get your abilities, get your skills, use your abilities, use your skills. Let's talk a bit more about the story. So for example, this area is infested with zombies and with lizard men. Now I don't really want to, not lizard men, fish men. I don't really want to spoil the story for you, because that's one of the really good things about Secret World. It has a really immersive story that kind of pulls you in and you really want to dig deeper into it. And if I start telling you, oh, this is how the story works and you do this and you do this, it's like telling you the plot to a movie. It's a bit crap of me, really. So I'm not going to tell you what the story is, because it's mean and you will hate me for it. Suffice to say, the story is really enjoyable. What I am going to show you, however, is a bit more of this island, because I've shown you a couple of blocks. And that's not really fair. And we'll maybe kill some more zombies. I'll show you some of the other monsters as well. And then I think we shall go to Egypt. Feel a bit like Richard O'Brien, you know, Crystal Maze. And now to the Egypt zone. You get the idea. Oh yeah, there is a sprint button, and I should use it. Sprinty, sprinty, sprint. That glowy thing there. Yes! The world is full of lore items. This is one of them. You use it, and you get a little bit of the lore and the history of the world around you. This game is full of little snippets of lore and puzzles and stuff like that. And it's one of those things, it'll keep you looking for ages just to find all of these little bits and pieces. Little playground here. It's a pond. No zombies. Yay. Die. Bosh. Currently, the day-night cycle in this game is a bit faster than real world. So currently it's showing it as 5:17 in game time, and you'll see it change. So you'll get your sunrise and your sunsets. This is kind of set in October time, so it's kind of a Halloween thing. Mr. Bloodgar Impaler, time to die. So you can actually see the sun's going down now. Beautiful sunset. Well, it probably would be more beautiful if it wasn't so zombie infested. Yeah. Aha, scrapyard. So there's a couple of reasons why this game is rated M for mature, and the other one is because of the lashings of zombies you get to kill, and the other one is because of the dialogue and voice acting that we've got in this game. So, I'll give you an example.
Tango, Cash, down boys! I said down! Hush or you'll taste a stick. You know you will. Shut your pie holes, boys! We got ourselves visitors! Woohoo! And this one's breathing. Oh, yeah. Now that's more like it. Ooh, them mean some bitches. Sooner bite a chunk off your BUT as look at you. Watch as you don't make eye contact, particularly with Cash there. That's the one right there. You don't much care for that. And he's the friendly one. Hey, Tango! Leave that arm alone. It's infected. Fucking dumb motherfucker. Jesus Christ on a bicycle. Fucker's got a taste for Frankies. Oh, dog's been keeping the yard clean. Goddamn Frankensteins get spooked by him. Those who don't get spooked, they get torn into tiny little pieces. Even I get sick of watching them go at it. And I've seen some sick shit in my life. But the boys, they can't get to all of them. Frankies and Smurfs keep popping up like bunny rabbits at Easter. Boom, boom, you know what I mean? You a dog person? Cats are good for nothing, except as yowling dish rags. You been a hero and all? I'm guessing it don't matter much. You ain't got a choice. You're here to fight Frankies and those mutant Smurfs, right? I even got some toys you can play with. Toys that go boom and splat. Don't ask me where I get them. Because I won't tell you, and they ain't none of your business, you understand me? Look at that serious face on you. So now, maybe my boys can take a breather while I get some work done on the short bus from hell right here. We got ourselves a deal, hero. Mind you keep the noise down. Tango and Cash are the sensitive types, you know? But I reckon they'll be happy to pick through the pieces after.
So yeah, Edgar and his scrapyard, and working on the bus, the zombie waster. Now the big problem with scrapyards, especially in a place that is loaded with magic and stuff, is that it ends up being full of creatures like scrap golems. No. So yeah, it must be a bit of a nightmare if you're running a scrapyard and all of a sudden your scrap starts jumping up and walking around like a sentient being that's out to kill everyone. Yeah, that would be a real downer. But hey, that's all part of the secret world. It don't look particularly sturdy though, do they? It's like you're one step away from explosion or something. Anyhow, that is enough of Solomon Island. I think it's definitely enough of Kingsmouth. Let's go to Agartha. Now, throughout the secret world, you have these various points called Agartha points, which are kind of like a portal to a center, well, tree. There's this huge tree that runs through the center of the world. Well, the Earth itself is hollow. And because it's hollow, and there's this tree going through it, you can use it to travel through. So while the kind of mundanes have to travel in their terrible first class, or whatever it is, you know, take a jet plane or wherever, we've got this beautiful luxury of being able to just take a casual stroll, you know, go from London. You've got London portal just up here. We can go to London if you want to. Just give me a shout and I'll show you London. All the way through to... Don't mind the golems, by the way. They're on our side. I can do the funky speed travel things. We don't even have to walk. We can just kind of like stride. That's the one for Kingsmouth, where we just were. That's for the Savage Coast, which is the second zone in Solomon Island. And that one there takes you to Blue Mountain, which is the third zone. We just jump through the end here, and it takes us to a completely different part of the tree. Up here, yeah, I know. It's like being on a skateboard, you know, a kind of spiritual powered skateboard that slides everywhere on something. And yeah, okay. Anyway, Egypt. Yes, we want to go to the scorched desert. It's beautiful there this time of year, don't you know? Lovely, sunny. For Brits, that's fantastic because it's been miserable here these past couple of days. But for everyone else, you know, you're probably getting a bit tired of the heat. One of the things I love about the loading screens is they start in black and white and they slowly come into colour. And you can probably make it out here. It just says Scorched Desert carved into that block there. Just there. Okay? Yeah. I don't know. But yes, Egypt zone. Not sure my Richard O'Brien impression is actually going, but I don't know. You be the judge. So, gone from Kingsmouth, which is kind of normal. Well, normal, yeah. It is zombie infested, but relatively normal and sedate looking for a town that's been trashed with zombies and has car wrecks everywhere and being invaded by fishmen and God knows what else. Going over to Egypt, there's a bit of a difference. It's 7 o'clock in Egypt. So this thing here, by the way, is an anima well. The whole reason that... Oh, in fact, that's probably a bit of a spoiler. I shan't tell you that. But I will say, notice the bees, and it's a respawn point. So if you die, that's one of the places that you can respawn at. Kind of handy. Because people with funky abilities like ours don't actually die.
Greetings.
Alright, so what's going on here in Egypt? Can't pick that mission. You can do missions almost on a daily basis, 24-hour basis. Now this mission is currently on cooldown and I have to wait another 3 hours and 47 minutes to redo it because I was here doing it yesterday. So no, can't do that one. And this one with a little padlock next to it is in theory locked, so I can't pick it up. There you go, it requires you to complete the siege of Almeria. Well, maybe I need to do it at the same time.
Go with God.
So this is Almeria, Upper Egypt. In fact, if I bring up the map for you, you can see lovely tourist map type thing with kind of slides and stuff. If I brought up the map while I was in Kingsmouth, you'd have seen it's kind of like a street map kind of thing. You know, like a... I don't know what you'd call them in the States, but over in the UK we call them ordnance survey maps. Or A to Z sometimes. Whereas this is much more of a tourist map type thing with the kind of... everything written in 3 different languages and stuff like that. The other really cool thing about the map is that you can put a marker down on it. So I can click on the map and say add marker and then say, I don't know, good loot here, create waypoint, and it puts a marker on the map. great thing about that is that if you see something in the world that you think might be related to a secret, or you might have to go back to later, but you're not quite sure, you can put a marker on your map and say, I'm just making a note of this. It means you don't have to have a pen and paper around you for everything. You will need a pen and paper. In fact, you will need a notepad and paper for a lot of the puzzles. So that's the map. And you have... The great thing is you've gone from a place where you've got a real kind of American style town to Egypt, and the whole place feels entirely different. Which is fantastic, really. You've got these narrow streets. All that kind of real intricate Egyptian kind of architecture there. It will lighten up in Egypt. It's not always dark. There is a proper day-night cycle, which is fantastic. And there are a lot of buildings that are empty that you can go into. There's you can even go onto the roofs of buildings. One of the quests around here has you actually going up onto the roofs and playing with satellite dishes, which is an absolute pain in the backside when you want to try and find where the dishes are and how to get to them. Really infuriating. Great sense of achievement when you finally do it, but it's like jumping puzzles where you're trying to do the old kind of Super Mario blip blip. Yeah. I can handle Super Mario, but not the really, you know, like the Lost Levels one, which was really pixel perfect. So, as well as having the secret societies, you've also got the Council of Venice, which are these people, kind of like white suit and blue beret type things. They are there as kind of neutral peacekeepers to stop one society becoming too powerful. They oversee everything that's going on and make sure that no one goes too far. But they're meant to be impartial observers, so if something bad kicks off, they don't generally tend to get involved themselves. They instead call upon the secret societies to go and deal with it on their behalf. So,
thank you.
another law token there, just hiding behind the Council of Venice banner.
No, Roberto. Está bien. Lo siento. We are being extra cautious. Not only are we under constant attack, there have recently been attempts on my life. This village is divided, neighbor against neighbor. You have seen how it is. And also, people vanish, taken from their homes in the middle of the night, made into... I don't know what they are. Slaves of Aten? Mindless tools of the sun cult. Oh, hijo de puta. And nobody dares to talk, even when the streets are getting emptier by the day. Soon, the cultists will own this town and everyone in it. Ay, muy mal. So, I received word from the council, and they finally sent someone, an official, a single agent. A chingada. After what I tell them of this place. But I only have their word for it. That was a week ago, and the agent is nowhere to be found. Perhaps my colleague has been taken as well? I have no way of knowing. I fear I may be next.
So, there you go. The reason you've been sent to Egypt is because of this rising cult of Aten. Now, in the actual real world, there's this god called Aten who was worshipped by one of the pharaohs, Akhenaten. And Akhenaten had this idea to get rid of all of the Egyptian gods and just have one deity that they would follow. He wanted to change the entire society into a monotheistic culture. And to do that, he was pretty nasty about it all. Now the idea is, in the secret world, that's all been given a bit of a twist. You have the cult of Arton springing up to bring the pharaoh Akhenaten and his god Arton back. And they're doing all kinds of creepy things to do it. And it's our job to put a stop to them. So you have all kinds of cultists lurking around. But yeah, if you don't believe me about the whole Akhenaten thing, look it up on Wikipedia, it's all there. You can also see, if you look at the t-shirts these guys are wearing, or the shirts these guys are wearing, they've got this kind of circle with daggers heading down from it, and that is the symbol that Arton used to have. There we go. Collect loot. As well as having missions which give you, say, a bit of a voiceover and it's go out and kill these people or go out and find out what's happened, you also get sabotage missions, which were those things with the yellow icon, and you also get item missions. So this one revolves around get rid of the guards, destroy the crates. So going out, collecting a number of crates and destroying them. They're usually started by items which are just casually dotted around. That's the great thing about this. So you don't get a kind of exclamation mark which is highlighted on your mini-map to say, there is a quest here, go find it. You actually have to wander around and discover where all these hidden quests are. Egypt does look like it's seen better days though. Is that a tourist bus? Yeah, that's a tourist bus. And another cultist. Kill the cultists. Bosh. You can now see why I love Thor's hammer. It's a splat. Job done. So Egypt wouldn't be great unless we actually got a chance to see some of the pyramids and stuff. So we'll just skip over this kind of scorched land here, which seems to be burning everything up. Can we get out? Damn it. I must be able to get out. This is where I die, isn't it? Nope. Haha, with 14 health remaining, I managed to escape. The environment is trying to kill you, yes, I know this. So, the sun god. You have tombs there. You can see health regenerates quite nicely when you're out of combat. When you're in combat, it doesn't do anything, although you can get consumables like health potions and stuff like that. That was actually a bit tough. The other thing about the shotgun abilities that you get is you can get them to do particular damage when you're close up and more damage or less damage when you're far away, so it sometimes makes sense to be a bit careful. Oh no, I had to kill all of these people. Yeah, so sometimes it's a good idea to just wait and heal up before you go charging into a bunch of monsters and pull them all at the same time. So yes, Temple of the Sun God. A lovely tourist attraction that has been taken over by cultists. Yeah. But hey, you can't say you didn't go to Egypt and see things. And there are pyramids, and you can go and do all that kind of stuff. Even a hotel you can stay at if you really want to. It's full of ghouls though, you might not want to use the room service or anything like that. As well as having all kinds of cultists and undead, as you'd expect from Egypt, you can also attack beached ships. No, you can't attack beach ships. You can attack. You can discover things like plagues of locusts and plagues of scorpions and stuff like that. Turns out that yeah, all of the biblical stuff that they used to say you suffered from, they actually exist in this. But they're not created by some kind of deity. It's all kind of man-made, foolishly, for one reason or another. So, what do you say we take a pass on Egypt and skip over to one of the other locations? Wrong button. Can I fire up the Agartha portal again? Cooldown 12 minutes. So, there are the locusts that I mentioned before. There only generally tends to be one Agartha portal per zone. So if you want to get back into Agartha, and it's big, Kapiri Moving Mountain. He's very big. So, while I'm heading back to the Agartha portal, any questions? Feel free to use the chat, abuse, that kind of stuff. Throw stuff at me. I'm being attacked by a cultist. Come on. There we go. That took a bit of effort. Can't believe none of you have any questions. Must all be kind of in shock and awe with the game. So yeah, you've got kind of like a 30-minute cooldown on your Agartha portal, which basically acts as a hearthstone or a teleport to that kind of world tree thing. If you find that your Agartha beacon is on cooldown, then you have one choice, and that's to leg it back there. But you do have sprints, which makes it a bit faster. The graphics engine, by the way, has come on leaps and bounds during the beta. The latest thing that they added was tessellation, so this is currently running in DirectX 11 with tessellation enabled, and that basically means that you see these kind of pebbles and stuff like that, they actually appear as three-dimensional objects rather than just a texture that's been applied, you know, like an image that's just been applied to the surface. So they actually have a bit of structure to them. When you're looking at things like gravel and sand and stuff like that, it makes all the difference. It doesn't mean they've applied it to everything blindly. I mean, it's been very tastefully done. There we go. Travel back to Agartha. Alright. So which way is... That's that way, and that's towards the tree, so I guess we want to go this way. I could be wrong there. Yep, that's the next Egypt zone. There's a lore node for Agatha. And I think it's down here. I think. God, it's enough to drive you seasick. Yes, here we are, Transylvania. Can I get into Transylvania? Yes, besieged farmlands. So, the important thing to bear in mind with Transylvania in the Secret World, this is not Twilight. This is not Bram Stoker's Dracula. This is the Vlad Tepes mythology. So, if you think about Vlad the Impaler, all that kind of stuff, it's very much real world based. And of course there's the whole thing about his Vlad the Impaler, Vlad Dracula's father. So yes, this is endgame, pretty much. So when you're leveling up through the Secret World, you'll start off level 1 in Solomon Island. By the time you finish Solomon Island, that's all 3 zones there, you'll have a collection of quality level 6 and 7 gear. And that will really grow when you're in Egypt, all the way through up to quality level 9 and 10 right at the end. Transylvania is where you start finishing off your gear in terms of the quality level 9 and 10 stuff, and spreading out from the builds that you've leveled through with your, so whatever deck you've kind of chosen and gone for, or whatever you've built yourself, and starting to spread out and pick up all the other abilities. So the ability points really start coming in thick and fast when you're in Transylvania. That means then that you can take on more challenges. So some of the mobs will be resistant to hindering effects, some of them will be resistant to particular types of damage and stuff like that, and it'll be up to you to try and work out what are the mobs immune to and what do you need to do to counteract that. So rather than being a very focused magus or a fantastic gladiator or something like that, you will need to start flexing and specializing in a whole range of different areas, so you get used to different styles of combat and different ways to take mobs down. The other great thing is there are dungeons in this game as well, so you can leap into dungeons all the way through each zone, and pretty much each zone has a dungeon related to it, right the way from Kingsmouth, which has the Polaris dungeon, all the way through to Transylvania, which has level 10 dungeons. You can start off with playing a standard role, like you can play a tank, hero or DPS in your earlier dungeons like Kingsmouth, or the Polaris dungeon and the Hell Rising dungeon in Savage Coast. And as you go into later dungeons, you'll find that you need to end up going in with a couple of different decks available so you can cope with some of the different monsters. The other great thing is there is virtually no trash in these dungeons when you do them. They're usually full with like 5 or 6 different boss fights, 3 of them mini bosses, 3 of them big bosses, and that's pretty much it. There might be a bit of flavor trash, but you're not going to have those really annoying corridors full of trash, or particularly irritating trash. You know the kind of stuff that I'm talking about there, where you've gone through it and it's like, oh, I hate this trash. There's also, as well as having like the leveling versions of each dungeon, there are level 10 versions of things like Polaris and Hell Rising and stuff like that, and level 10 nightmare modes as well, which is kind of like a heroic version. So you've got plenty of dungeoneering to do there, and dungeons give the best loot, so it's well worth doing them. Let's give you an example of how hard these creatures are. This is a ghoulish squatter. and they're hitting me with under construction signs. Lovely. As you can see, these are taking an awful lot more damage. Bosh. My Thor's hammer hardly seems to dent them. And you can see down here that I'm getting all kinds of horrible things. So I'm getting debilitated, all damage dealt is reduced by 3% per stack, and that's stacking up. So it can be quite nasty. And you can get some abilities which do purges and stuff, but it's all kind of horrible. And if I bring up the map here, you can see that's where I came in, and the whole map this time round is this really old kind of woodcut kind of thing. It's a really interesting thing because if you look at it, you've got various different, like here you've got a windmill, here you've got a what do you call it, a water mill. And here you've got an observatory and stuff like that. And if you look at how they're different in modern day, then you'll find that here where the water mill is, you've probably got a water treatment works, and here where the windmill is, you've probably got a power plant or something like that. Yeah. And again, you can see how the place is once again completely different in terms of look and feel. Doesn't feel like Egypt, doesn't feel like Solomon Island. And there's all kinds of mysterious creatures here. And there's our friends from the Council of Venice again. So that is pretty much the secret world in a nutshell. Like I said, you've got PvP options as well. So you can bring up the PvP, and you can say, okay, I want to do Fusang Projects, which is the persistent war zone, or I want to do Stonehenge, which is the kind of like King of the Hill type thing, where you've got 2 rings of the stones, and the idea is to try and control the inner ring. And you've got El Dorado, which has 4 relics in, and the goal is to try and control as many of the relics as you can in order to gain points, and the team with the highest points at the end of the match wins. El Dorado, it feels mainly like it. The goal is to try and get as many of the relics as possible in your hands. One of the common tactics is to try and capture all 4 of the different relics. If you manage to do that, then the game ends automatically in 2 minutes, so it doesn't become points based. Then it just means if you hold the relics, all 4 relics for 2 minutes, you've won. Whichever faction performs enough victories within an hour gets a buff as well. So for example, here you can see the faction in control of El Dorado, so the faction that wins the most matches in the previous hour, gets various bonuses like XP gain, hit rating, defense, crit, damage and healing. So it's well worth doing that. Same with Stonehenge, you get a Stonehenge faction buff as well. And El Dorado, Fusang Projects rather, you get a buff for each different part of the map that you control. because it's a persistent war zone, you have different nodes in there. In fact, it's probably easiest if I actually enter the queue. Ah, join. So hopefully I'll actually be able to enter. So Fusang projects, in fact all of the PvP zones, you get something like 5v5v5 or 10v10v10. In this one, I think it's something like 200 a side. It's some astronomically large number. But it's very, very fast paced. You have 4 node points that you want to control. You have 9 graveyards or anima wells, 3 on each side, and the whole thing's shaped like an inverted triangle. The idea is you want to hold the anima wells for strategic value, and you want to capture the various different node points to give your faction a buff.
Welcome to China and to Fusang projects.
You start off in this underground subway thing. Notice that everyone gets the same uniform. So being Templar, I have this rather fetching red and white leather number, and I stick out like a sore thumb. The Illuminati end up with their kind of standard blue uniform with the gas masks and stuff, and the Dragon have their kind of grey tracksuit with neon highlights. I kind of think the Dragon get the best deal out of the whole lot. The other thing is that your uniform is different depending on what role you're playing. So if you're playing just a damage dealer like I am, then you have this type of uniform. If you're playing a tanky type person, then you end up with a tanky type uniform. If I bring up the map, I can actually show you what I'm talking about in terms of objectives. So you have 3 wells across the top, 3 wells across the west, and 3 wells across the east. And the Templar hold one of them, North Well 3, just in the top right here. There are also 4 facilities. There's West Facility, East Facility, South Facility, and there's a facility in the middle there as well. And the whole place is huge. It's one of those things you will end up doing a lot of running around. You can also see my health pool has taken a slight boost as well. That's done in terms of balancing, so you can go into this early on in the game and you'll still get anima points and skill points for taking part. But it does mean that if you pick the role that you want to have, then you'll get buffed for doing something like extra damage and stuff. Now you see these kind of splash marks, that's where the combat is actually taking place. So it's happening in the center. Put my sprint on again and see if I can actually get into combat. It's actually really good because with things like AoEs and stuff like that, you can get involved in combat more often. You can create things like pinch points using the scenery. Obviously here you've got a bit of a problem, but if you manipulate the fights in particular areas, you can really create pinch points and just lay down an AoE and quite easily start wiping out huge swathes of players. The other great thing is that if you've hit level cap and you're starting to expand on the number of abilities that you have, then it means you can swap between decks as well. So you might say, okay, my deck here is a bit crap. There are some, in fact there's 3 of them there. Yeah, didn't last very long. But at least there's a nearby res point. Now, where is everyone? There's everyone. Just like in other mass combat situations, it's really helpful if you stick together in groups rather than taking people down on your own. There we go. See, you can actually take people down. And you can see there that uniform is signifying someone who's in tanky rather than healery type or DPS type. And yes, you do get tab targeting to make life a little bit easier as well. So you just go tab. People are in the same uniform for a couple of reasons. Firstly, because it makes people a lot easier to pick out than if you're in your standard suit. You know, if I was in my standard blue pinstripe suit, no one would know which team I'm on. And partly because it takes the load down hugely. I want to get out of that bad stuff. One of the interesting things about Fusang projects is that it's very fast-paced in terms of how quickly the various different nodes change ownership. So rather than something staying in someone's ownership for a long period of time, it's quite common to see the various resource nodes, various facilities change ownership fairly rapidly. There's me trying to be tactical with my snowy blizzardy effect. You know, try and whittle them down a bit, push them back. You do get all kinds of line of sight effects as well, so you can try and rain down AoEs from above and stuff like that. It looks like we're actually pushing them back. Got to be careful though, because they've got the graveyard here, so... Oh no, we've managed to catch the graveyard as well. Fantastic. See that little red orb thing? That signifies that Templar have ownership of the graveyard. So yeah, that's PvP. And the great thing about Fusang Project is that it's dead easy to just jump in, do a little bit of it, and jump back out again. And head back to Transylvania. So it drops you off where you left off. It's nice and simple like that. So that is The Secret World in a nutshell. That's coming out early July, and it's a subscription based MMO, so it's monthly fee attached, but you can get it pre-ordered now and get early access bags and stuff like that as well. I think there's a month free in the box anyway. One final thing I should probably show you, if my Agatha thing is on cooldown. Yes, it is off cooldown. I can show you London. So yes, London. Here we are. Yes, we want to travel to London. Each faction has their own city. Templar have London, the Illuminati have New York, and the Dragon have Seoul. That's not kind of saying they're groovy or anything, they have Seoul in South Korea. In each city you have things like a bank where you can chuck materials, and there's an auction house that you can buy and sell stuff. The auction house is mainly going to be revolved around things like buying and selling the toolkits that you need to make items. There's also a store where you can buy clothing as well. So if you want to kit your character out a particular outfit, you can leap into the clothing store and you can do all that kind of stuff. You can also buy additional clothing from the Funcom store as well. So I shall give you a quick glimpse of that. So this is London and Tube Station. And again, if I bring up the map, you can see completely different look. But it is kind of a nicely done place. Even the sirens are accurate. But yes, if you want to buy new clothing, you can just say, okay, I'm going to buy some business attire. I'm going to buy a black suit. How does the black suit look on the preview? There you go, you can see colour changed. Yellow slacks. Not my colour. You've got all these different kinds of clothes available.
You'll find the auction house right up on Red Cross, opposite the bank.
Preview sunglasses or glasses. So yeah, you can wear glasses as well if you want to. And as soon as you walk away, it all fades away. So yes, there's the bank, and there will be, in fact there is even, I think, an auction house being implemented as well. Currently the bank doubles up as an auction house. I think they might end up moving the auction house somewhere else. So yeah, that is the secret world. Job done. Hope you enjoy it. Comes out next month. Have a good one. That's all from me. I'm going to be sticking this up on YouTube. I have been Gazimov. I might do some future live streams. Let me know what you think. And hopefully see you again soon.